I will never forget the way she looked at me that day. No sympathy, no hesitation, just cold. "You have two choices," Vanessa said. "Say you're sorry, or get out." That was it. We were at her family's big reunion, and I guess I wasn't her husband anymore. I was just some outsider making things awkward. Now Vanessa, if you saw her, you'd probably think she could charm the badge off a cop. Long black hair, sharp eyes, killer smile. But behind that smile, something darker. Something mean. It all started when her brother Travis got drunk and started poking at me, saying I didn't really belong in the family. I laughed it off at first, trying to keep the peace. But he kept at it. Called me a freeloader, me, the guy working 60 hours a week while Vanessa worked from home and somehow never opened her laptop. Eventually, I told Travis to watch his mouth before I helped him shut it. Her dad, Ronald, jumped in, puffed up like he was in a bar fight back in 1972. And what did Vanessa do? Nothing. Not a word. Just stood there like I deserved it. We left without speaking. On the drive home, not once did she ask how I was. Not a single word. But once we stepped into the living room, the same one I busted my back remodeling for her last year, she looked at me like I was some mold she found in the corner. "You embarrassed me," she snapped. Then came that line again. "You can apologize, or you can leave." And that's when it hit me. This woman had never stood up for me. Not once. I did not yell. I did not cry. I walked into the bedroom, opened my laptop, booked a one-way flight to Denver, grabbed a bag, and left. No note. No goodbye. Just gone. The next morning, she blew up my phone. 5 calls. Bunch of voicemails. "Where are you? Why are you doing this? You're being irrational." I didn't answer. Not that day, not the next. But on day 3, I got curious. I checked our shared bank account. We still had joint finances, hadn't gotten to that part of the split yet. And there it was, a hotel charge. $368 for a midweek stay in the city. Now Vanessa hates hotels. Calls them germ nests. But there she was, booked in at 11:42 p.m., ordering room service. She wasn't eating alone. Not my wife, who refuses food after 6 because late-night calories make you bloat. I called Dean, my best friend since college. I told him I thought she was seeing someone. His reply was instant. "She is." I froze. "What do you mean?" "She told me you were on a break. I saw her last month with some guy. Holding hands, kissing him outside a restaurant like it was nothing." I went cold. My fingers went numb. That wasn't just betrayal, it was planned. I pulled up our shared photo album. She had deleted every recent picture of us. Gone. All the way back to Christmas. Didn't even try to hide it. That is when it finally sunk in. She was done long before I bought that plane ticket. I was just catching up. But it gets worse. The next day, I went back home. I still had a key. Did not call or text. I just needed to see for myself. Her car was in the driveway, crooked. She never parked like that. She was the type to line her mug handles at 90-degree angles. That car told me more than I wanted to know. I opened the front door. Music playing slow, sultry R&B. One of those songs that makes the air feel heavy. A red heel tossed near the hallway. Her purse dumped out on the table. A wine glass. Lipstick on the rim. And then I heard it. Her laugh. Soft. Then a low male voice. Muffled. Followed by a rhythm. One I wish I could forget. That sound. The sound of her and him. I should have turned around. I should have left. But I didn't. I walked down the hallway, step by slow step, like I wasn't in my own house anymore. I opened the bedroom door, and there she was. Vanessa. On top of him. Eyes closed. Head back. Like I never existed. He looked like a gym rat, tribal tattoo across his chest. He smirked when he saw me, like he was proud of it. And her? She looked me dead in the eye, rolled her eyes, and said, "You're not supposed to be here." That was it. That was her response. Not, "I'm sorry." Not, "Let me explain." Just cold. Seriously. I choked out. "This is how you move on. It's been a week." She pulled the sheet around her like she still had dignity. "You walked out. I told you to apologize. You didn't." I almost lost it, but I didn't. I just stared. "How long has this been going on?" She shrugged. "Does it matter?" And that was when something inside me shut down. No yelling. No fists. Just silence. I turned around, walked out, and closed the door behind me. No slamming. Just done. She never followed. Never called. I drove all night. No destination. Just needed to be moving. Gas station coffee. Old playlists. Empty roads. Around midnight, Dean texted. You okay? I didn't reply. What could I even say? At dawn, I pulled into a sketchy motel off I-7. Neon light flickering, vacancy sign half dead. I checked in, dropped onto the bed, and stared at the ceiling until the pain dulled enough to let me sleep. When I woke up, I wasn't angry. I wasn't sad. I felt hollow, like everything had been scraped out of me and tossed in the trash. But I needed answers. Not from Vanessa. She would lie. I needed the truth. So I called Dean again. No small talk, I told him. Tell me everything. And he did. Her new guy? Name's Lance. Real original. Her trainer at the gym. They had been flirty for months. She told Dean it happened after one of our fights. Said she was looking for comfort. That was a lie. Dean said she used me. For stability. For the picture-perfect life. I was the guy who paid the bills while she played pretend. I was the husband. Dean said it plain. Lance was just the side fun. And those words hit harder than I thought they would. Not because I was surprised. I wasn't. Deep down, I already knew. The late-night walks, her phone locked tighter than a bank vault, how every argument ended with me being the bad guy. Like I was always one breath away from ruining her perfect little world. But hearing it still stung. It made everything real. I started looking back. Like really thinking about it. How she used to flinch when I reached for her in bed. How she suddenly got real into me time around 10 o'clock every night. How she stopped talking about kids, our future, anything that sounded like commitment. I was clinging to this fantasy that it was just a phase, just stress, that maybe if I worked harder, brought her flowers, smiled when I wanted to scream, maybe she'd come back to me. The saddest part? I had already picked out a necklace for our anniversary. Custom engraved. I was about to drop nearly $1,000 to remind her how much I loved her. And now I was crashing in a budget motel with paper-thin pillows and a vending machine that stole my quarters. That is when the twist came. It was that afternoon, and I got a call from Maya, Vanessa's little cousin. 17. Sweet girl. Always liked me. Never bought into her cousin's crap. She whispered, "Hi, Kyle. I probably shouldn't be calling you, but I thought you should know something." I sat up, heart racing. What is it? I was at the house yesterday. Vanessa didn't know I was coming. She was on the phone with someone, Lance, I think. She said she was glad you left. That now she could move him in without the guilt. I did not say a word. Just listened. She laughed, Kyle. She said she hoped you would sign the divorce papers fast so she could change the locks. Divorce papers. She had not sent me anything. Nothing had shown up in my email, in the mail, nothing. But she was already celebrating. That was the moment something inside me hardened. Not rage. Not grief. Just cold resolve. I looked in the motel bathroom mirror, dark circles under my eyes, stubble creeping in, and I made a decision. I was done being the man she stepped on. Done being the backup plan. She wanted to go low? Fine. Let's see how deep I can dig. That night, I drove back to town. No suitcase. No plan. Just a fire in my gut that wouldn't quit. She thought I would roll over. Let her live in my house, spend my money, screw her trainer, and walk away clean. She forgot who I was before I married her. I used to be sharp, strategic. Love dulled my edges. That was a mistake. I parked a few blocks from the house so she would not see my truck. Threw on a hoodie and pulled the brim of my cap low. I was not breaking in. My name was still on the lease. I installed the security system. She never changed the code. I slipped in through the side door, the one she always forgot to lock. The place was dark, quiet. Not creepy quiet, but that eerie kind where you know something's wrong. I took off my shoes, moved like a shadow through the house. Straight to the office. There was a drawer she used. Thought I didn't know about it. That is where she stuffed receipts, birthday cards, dumb junk. But it held more. I found a pile of papers, credit card statements, hotel charges, all on my card. And under that, a handwritten note. Not to me. To him. Lance, baby. I stopped there. Could not read the rest. My hands were shaking. I stuffed everything in my bag and kept moving. Then I did something I had not planned. I walked to the bedroom. She was sleeping, alone, curled up like she had not destroyed 2 lives. Her hair was a mess. She looked peaceful. And for a second, just a second, I remembered the girl I married. The one who used to sing off-key in the car. Who made pancakes in my t-shirts. Who danced in the kitchen with bare feet and wet hair. That girl was gone. Buried. And the woman in that bed? She was the one who buried her. I stood there for a full minute, just watching. Then I took my wedding ring off and placed it on the nightstand, right next to her phone. She did not even stir. She never heard me when it mattered. Back in the living room, I grabbed the lockbox I kept under the couch. Birth certificate, passport, truck title, all of it. She had no idea where the key was. But I did. I took everything I needed and walked out for the last time. By sunrise, I was already 2 states over, parked in a small-town diner with a cup of bitter coffee and that folder of betrayal spread out in front of me like evidence in a courtroom. Every receipt, every timestamp, every little "I love you" she sent while I was upstairs fixing the leaky faucet. I called my lawyer. Told him I wanted the divorce papers drawn up now and fast. Also told him to freeze every shared account. All of them. That afternoon, I posted something on Facebook. Just one line. "Vanessa, you gave me 2 choices, apologize or leave. I chose to leave. Now you'll see what that really means." She saw it within the hour. 6 missed calls. Then the texts. "Kyle, can we talk? You're acting like a child. This is not how adults handle things. You're hurting me." She had the nerve to act like I was the villain. Like she was the wounded one. I ignored it all. Just kept pushing. One form, one account, one signature at a time, cutting every rope that tied us together. And then came the message that told me I had her rattled. "You took the papers. That's theft. I'm calling the police." That is when I knew she was scared. Not because I left, but because she knew the truth was about to hit her square in the face. She had built her new life on my dime, in my house, and with someone else's body in our bed. And I was done paying the price. I stayed up all night in that motel, papers spread across the table like war plans. This was not revenge anymore. This was justice. The next morning, I went to the bank, not just to close accounts, but to highlight every transaction linked to her. Hotel stays, massages, spa trips. Every dollar she spent while telling me she was working on herself. I even found Venmo payments labeled "training flexed biceps" to someone named JFit. Yeah, that was Lance. Then I handed the whole file to my lawyer. He flipped through it, let out a low whistle. "With this," he said, "she'll be lucky to keep a fork." I nodded. No grin. No smug satisfaction. Just the calm that comes when you finally stop pretending someone deserves your kindness. 2 days later, she emailed me. Subject: "Please talk to me. Kyle, this is not how I wanted things to go. I was hurt. You were distant. You never listened. Yes, I saw someone, but it meant nothing." Nothing. I read that word like it had weight. I remembered the sounds from the bedroom. The wine glasses. The sheet wrapped around her after she got caught. Nothing felt like a knife. I sent her the divorce paperwork. Clean. Final. No conversation. Hours later, she responded with a wall of text. Emotional. Scattered. And one line jumped out. "Lance says he is not ready for a serious relationship." There it was. Her plan B had a backbone. He bailed. Now she was crawling back to plan on me. "Do not throw away everything we built," she begged. I laughed. Out loud. In a gas station parking lot. She did not miss me. She missed the comfort. So I told my lawyer to push forward. No mediation. No sit-downs. No second chances. She made her decision long before she ever told me to apologize or get out. But I was not done yet. I sent her one final message. I did not send her a rant or some dramatic wall of text. Just a picture. A close-up of the wedding ring I had left on her nightstand, sitting there next to that love letter she wrote to Lance. That was it. No explanation, no follow-up. I captioned it, "You made your bed. Now lie in it." She didn't reply that day. But the next morning, my phone rang. It was Dean. "You're not gonna believe this," he said. "Vanessa's all over social media saying you ghosted her. That you walked out after the family reunion and never told her why. She's making it sound like you just vanished." I felt my stomach turn. She was flipping the story, casting herself as the poor, confused wife, abandoned by her heartless husband. And the worst part? People were buying it. Some of the same folks who looked the other way when her drunk brother embarrassed me were now flooding her comments with sympathy. I wanted to scream. Instead, I sent Dean a few things, screenshots of her texts, the hotel receipts, and yes, even that handwritten note she left for Lance. I never posted anything publicly. I didn't have to. Dean did. It took off faster than wildfire in a dry field. Her perfect little pity party crumbled in real time. People started switching sides. Some of her own relatives messaged me, saying they were sorry. Some went silent, but at least they stopped defending her. And Vanessa? She blocked me on everything. Poof. Gone. But I did not need to hear from her anymore. My closure came when I opened the mailbox and saw the signed divorce papers waiting for me. The ink was barely dry before I passed them off to my lawyer and exhaled the deepest breath I had taken in months. It was done. Finally. I moved out of that rundown motel and into a short-term rental by the lake. It was nothing fancy, just a one-bedroom with old tiles and creaky floors. But every inch of it was mine. There was no perfume in the air that didn't belong, no half-filled wine glasses on the counter, no lying eyes watching me from across the room. Just me. I started waking up early again, cooking breakfast, jogging, and for the first time in a long time, I saw myself in the mirror and actually recognized the guy staring back. Not a husband, not a punching bag, just Kyle. Then came the unexpected. Maya texted me, Vanessa's cousin, the one who always had a good head on her shoulders. Just so you know, she wrote, Vanessa's moving out. Her parents cut her off. She's staying with a friend now. Thought you deserved to hear it from someone honest. I stared at the screen for a while. Not to gloat. Not out of spite. But because it finally felt like the mess she made was catching up to her. Lies have a way of caving in. Hers just took longer. A week later, Dean and I grabbed a drink. It was the usual stuff at first: football, work, the dumb things guys say to avoid real topics. But after a while, he leaned forward. You seem better, he said. I feel better. Not angry like before. Just disappointed. He nodded slowly. Then added, you know, she told people you cheated. Said you were seeing someone at work. I nearly spit out my beer. Of course she did. Vanessa never could stand being the villain. Even after the cheating, the lies, the mind games, she still wanted to wear the crown of the wounded queen. I stopped playing the role of her loyal fool, and that, more than anything, burned her up inside. But that was not the last surprise. There was the house. I hadn't thought much about it since I left. The lawyer handled the property part. We agreed she could keep it if she bought out my share. Turns out she couldn't. She didn't qualify for the loan. Couldn't afford it on her own. Now it was listed for sale like any other house, photos staged, counters cleaned, fake flowers on the table. My house. The one I painted. The one I fixed up. The one I carried her into like some idiot trying to play Prince Charming. I didn't go back. I didn't need to. Some places do not deserve a goodbye. About a month later, I opened my glove box looking for insurance papers and found the necklace I had bought her for our anniversary. Still in the box. Still engraved. Forever tomorrow, Kay. I just stared at it for a while. Then I drove to a quiet overlook near the lake. Bought a lighter at the gas station. Stood on the edge of the cliff and lit that velvet box on fire. The flames curled up around the silver, the fabric, the lies. And I watched it burn. I was not letting go of the pain, not yet. But I was letting go of the illusion. The idea that love means sticking around no matter how deep the cuts go. That day, I stopped carrying her guilt on my shoulders. She made her choices. Now I was making mine. A few weeks passed. I found a rhythm. Not a new normal, but something close. I was working again. Sleeping through the night. Not checking my phone every 10 minutes, waiting for the next grenade to land. Then, like clockwork, she found a new crack to slip through. It started with a call from a blocked number. I let it ring. Then came the voicemail. Kyle, it's me. Please do not delete this. I just want to talk. I know I messed up. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I can't stop thinking about you. I miss you. I miss us. She said us, like it was still a sacred word. Like it hadn't been dragged through the mud by her own hands. But here's the truth. I didn't feel rage. Not anymore. I felt absolutely nothing. She shattered it with her own hands, and now she wanted to pretend like I was the one who let it all slip away. I never called her back. 2 days later, another voicemail dropped. You didn't even let me speak. You just walked away. You never fought for us. Fought? I fought harder than she ever knew. I fought every time I looked the other way. Every time I swallowed her lies instead of calling them out. Every night I laid next to her in bed, wondering why I felt more alone inches from her than I ever did in an empty room. I fought like hell to believe she was still in there somewhere, the woman I fell for. Then the final message came. No voice this time. Just a picture. Vanessa, eyes red, crying into one of my old hoodies like she was starring in her own little tragedy. It was pathetic. I blocked her number. The next day, I got a text from Maya, her cousin again. Just giving you a heads up. Vanessa showed up drunk at my parents' place last night. Said she messed up everything. Told them Lance ghosted her. He's with someone new. I paused, let that sit. Not because I felt anything for her. Those feelings were long gone. But there was something almost poetic about it. She gave up a good life for a guy who could not handle real life. The same guy she swore meant nothing had dropped her the second things got hard. Meanwhile, I was halfway into a new life she never thought I had in me. But the moment I truly let go, it was not when I burned the necklace. It was not when I got the divorce papers signed. It happened on a Tuesday morning. I was sitting on my little balcony with a cup of coffee, watching the lake shift with the breeze, and I realized I had not thought about her in days. Not her voice, not her face, not the lies, nothing, just stillness, just peace. That is when I knew. It was over, really over. Not just the marriage, but her hold on me. The guilt, the weight, the second guessing. Gone. I was finally free. And if you are reading this, maybe because you are stuck where I was, let me tell you something plain and simple. Do not chase someone who breaks your trust and walks away like it was nothing. Do not stand at the door begging for love while they are in someone else's arms. Do not sacrifice your loyalty for someone who treats it like a doormat. Walk away with your spine straight and your heart intact, even if it is cracked. Because one day, that weight in your chest, it lifts. And when it does, you finally learn what real love is supposed to feel like. It is not pain. It is not begging. It is not proving yourself over and over. It is peace. And peace is everything. I saw her once more. It was not planned. I was walking out of the hardware store, carrying a box of tools for my new place, a list of things I actually looked forward to fixing, and there she was. Vanessa, standing beside a beat-up car, sunglasses on, trying to start the engine. Same expensive shades, same tight outfit, same air of drama. But this time, she looked smaller, dimmed, not glamorous, not fierce, just worn down. She saw me. I kept walking, but she stepped forward like she needed to confirm I was real. Kyle, she said, soft, like she wasn't sure she had the right to say it. I stopped, just for a second. She gave me a half smile, the kind she used to flash when she wanted something. You look good. I nodded. I know. Her smile twitched. She did not expect that. I could see the flicker of control trying to creep back in. I heard you got a new place. I did. And you're okay? I'm better than okay, Vanessa. She nodded slowly, chewed her cheek. Eyes on the ground now. I was stupid, she said. You were cruel, I replied. She looked down again. Maybe the guilt hit her for real, maybe not. I do not know. I do not care. I'm sorry, she whispered. I did not answer. Not out of spite, but because some apologies come too late to mean anything. I turned, walked back to my truck, tossed the toolbox in the bed, and drove off. No final scene. No dramatic send-off. Just the plain truth between two people who burned something sacred and had nothing left but ashes. That night, I sat on my balcony again. Same lake. Same breeze. Only difference? I smiled. Because I did not need her to feel pain. I did not need revenge. I just needed me back. And I had him. Stronger. Wiser. Scarred, sure, but not bitter. So if you are in the middle of that same storm, if you are picking up the pieces of a betrayal that makes you question your worth, listen close. You will survive. You will rebuild. And one day, maybe while drinking coffee on a porch with no one watching, you will breathe again. And it will feel like the very first time.